Welcome back, YouTube, to another Zombies pickup video. Today we're going to look at what I call my video game round trip. I took a trip up to Phoenix, where I'm originally from, and every time I'm there I make an attempt to stop at some of my favorite local video game stores. So let's jump right in with our first visit to Fallout Games. Now, Fallout has about 3 different locations. The closest one that I'm near is the one in Tempe. And I know the manager there, really cool guy, always hooks me up with some really good deals. And this time around, he hooked me up with a PSP copy of Godzilla Final Wars. You all know that I am a huge Godzilla fan. Final Wars is one of those movies that's so batshit crazy, you just have to check it out. It's got Godzilla versus some very popular kaiju friends and enemies, along with some fight scenes involving humans and aliens. Highly recommend checking this film out. It was cool that they had it on PSP, because now I can take this movie with me on the road. And special thanks again to my man Edwin for hooking me up with a PSP. Next up, we've got some boxed games here. Let's start with Freedom Force on the NES. Very cool light gun game. You are out to stop terrorists throughout various levels in cities, bars, airports. This game does not get enough recognition. I wish I could stream it, but definitely check it out if you've never heard of it. Sunsoft always has a great library and great music, so this one definitely comes recommended by me. Next up, we've got RoboCop by Data East, the video game based off the popular movie franchise. It is not an arcade port like I thought it was when I was a kid, but it's still a fun game. A lot of you guys in the retro community have streamed it. I know I still have fun playing it and watching you guys give it a go. I wish I could say that it's got my favorite controls. The stairs still give me trouble in this, but nonetheless, great game, great soundtrack, and a lot better than parts 2 and 3 that came out later. The last game is Life Force, or Salamander, if you've ever played the Japanese version. This is a pseudo-sequel entry into the Gradius series that was released on the NES and Famicom. You play the Vic Viper, if I recall, and you play through side-scrolling shooter levels and top-scrolling shooter levels. This game comes highly recommended. I know that Megadan and a few others have also no death ran this game. If you're a fan of Gradius, please pick this one up because it's definitely a great addition to the lineup. Alright, so our next stop brought us to 1UP Games in Mesa. And I can't stress enough how many times when I go to that store, they always hook me up with some really good, hard-to-find items at really great prices. Do yourselves a favor and check them out. If you need added proof, check out my man Edwin's video on his visit to the store, and you can see what they're all about. First things up, you all know that I love to collect retro game cases. So luckily they had just gotten these in. Unfortunately, the previous owner who had them did not do me a favor by doing this. As you can see, whoever owned these cut up actual NES boxes and taped them to the case. Who does this? So needless to say, I am devastated and enlightened at the same time, because you can see multiple games that were dissected and taped to these cases. I do intend to beautify these, so maybe I'll take the labels off, maybe I won't, but they definitely needed a good home. Glad to have them on my shelf. Next up, we've got some various manuals and inserts. A lot of you know that I'm also a CIB collector, whether I buy a game complete in box at first go, or I Frankenstein them, because that's also part of the fun. And 1UP is definitely a source for finding loose manuals, inserts, posters of all kinds of things, such as the Bible Buffet quiz book, a very hard to find item. Whether you own this game or not, if you are trying to rebuy this, chances are you'll find it without this booklet. And I got a really, really good deal on this, so glad to have that in the collection. We've got manuals for black box games, Duck Hunt, Gumshoe, Pro Wrestling, can't recommend that one enough. We've got maps. We've got a Breath of Fire world map that's actually laminated, so I don't have to use the one that's in my game. We've got posters. I believe this is Dragon Warrior 2. I don't want to risk opening it because it's already fragile enough. Instruction booklets to a Game Boy printer. Metroid 2. I can't stress how much I loved reading the Metroid manuals as a kid. Still enjoy them to this day. WrestleMania. Spider-Man for the Genesis, which I cannot find my copy, and luckily they hooked me up with that. And of course, more and more posters and inserts galore for Dragon Warrior and Dragon View. This is a very expensive manual, and luckily for me, they had it and gave me a really good deal on that. Now my copy is actually completed in box. Glad to have that back. And for Megadan and all you cheaters, I'm just kidding. Game Genie manuals. This is actually a variant to another copy that was out. I believe this one came with the black and purple Game Genie. I'm not really sure, but it's just cool to have this variation of the code book. And then of course these assortments that you used to get by mail. I don't know who they belong to, but now they're mine. And then of course we have some games, because why not? They were able to get back into my hands my copy of Raston. I say my copy because this is the last time that I will ever sell this game. I had it as a kid. I sold it to help out a friend. Regretted not being able to get a copy. This one is complete in box, and it is a beauty. If you like Conan films, if you like Barbarian games, anything of the sort, definitely play Raston, because that is a really good 8-bit port of the arcade game of the same name, and I know some of you have streamed it, so if you haven't checked it out, do yourselves a favor and do so. Finally, I have my copy of Shining Force back as well. I watched Running Retro stream this some time ago, loved watching him play it for the first time. This is a very great RPG. I'd also even say that it's very underrated compared to, say, the likes of Fire Emblem or even Final Fantasy. Give yourselves a go with this game, because if you like RPGs, this one definitely has a good mix of action, storytelling, and gameplay. I cannot stress enough just how much that is my favorite RPG ever. And I am really busy back there. Thank you. Alright. So, as we're coming back into town, I had to stop at Game Trader, which was a local store out here. And he's been in the business for over about 20 years, if I recall. I know the owner, and he had let me in on some of these rare pieces that had just come in. So, of course, naturally, I had to check them out. We have Duke Nukem for the Game Boy Color. I really thought this was going to be close to what was on the PC when I was a kid. Boy, was I wrong, and glad that I did not pick this up. This is actually a Game Boy Color port of the DOS game. If you've not seen that, check it out on YouTube. It's very, very outdated, but nonetheless, Duke Nukem is a lot older than people think he is. We've got the Pro Action Replay. This allows me to play my import games on my Sega Saturn. I wanted this for a very long time, could not get my hands on a copy, especially one that was boxed and as cheap as I got this one. Loose copies run about 60 bucks currently and up. I paid even less than that for this one, and hopefully when I get a chance, I'm going to start streaming some import Sega Saturn games and see what you all think of those. And last, we have a complete in-box copy of Centipede for the 2600, a home port of the arcade game. Not the best home port out there. I do actually enjoy the 5200 version when I can get it to work. But this is not a bad find, and I needed this for the collection. You play what should be, I guess, a little wizard guy, and your goal is to destroy the centipedes and all the evil, angry bugs that are in the level. So finally, we are rounding up our tour with 2 more stops in Tucson. First of which is one of my local hangouts, Zia Records. Zia specializes in used media of all kinds. I go to them for my music, my movies, and of course my video games. So to start things off, we have NBA Jam on the Game Boy. Not a bad port. The Super Nintendo version is always going to be my favorite. But this one did not disappoint as far as the entertainment and conversion goes. It's definitely one of the Game Boy ports that is actually really well done, just like Primal Rage and Killer Instinct, like we've talked about before. We have Fists of the North Star. I used to have this game complete in box as a kid. No idea where it ended up. This is a beat-em-ups game with a lot of the recognizable characters such as Kenshiro, Rei, Heart, a lot of these guys that are in the anime film and series, along with some guys that you only find in the manga. If you like Fists of the North Star, give this one a whirl. Alright, we've got Maximo, Ghost to Glory, a pseudo-sequel to the Ghost and Goblin series. Kind of looks like me, doesn't he? Anyway, I had this when it first released. Really fun game. A lot easier to play than Ghosts and Goblins. I can't find my copy of Army of Zen. I believe that's what the second one was called. But not a bad series. I hope they fix this one up and either make a remake or another game, because this series definitely deserves a reboot. It's pretty much the same thing, only you play as Maximo in a 3D world. Can't recommend this one enough, especially if you're a Ghosts and Goblins fan. And yes, we do exist, so I don't want to hear it.
Nah.
Last up, we have Resident Evil 4, the Wii edition. I'll admit, I was not a big fan of Resident Evil 4 when it first came out. I did not like where they were taking the story or the gameplay, but the Wii conversion controls really sold this for me. I actually enjoy this version more than the PlayStation 4 version, or PlayStation 2 version. And I was glad to actually own this, because this became a game that was hard to find and also very expensive. I actually got it for $6 and a pretty minty copy at that. So if you haven't played this one and you've got the Wii, or you've got a way to play Wii games, give this one a whirl too. Alright, rounding up, the final stop is actually one of the stores I did not know was selling retro games, and that is a place called Our Galaxy. I've been going to them since I moved out here, mostly for anime and mostly for toys. Now I can say they have retro games. So picked up these little pieces for the collection. A complete in box Adventures of Lolo, very underrated popular puzzle series. You guide Lolo through about 60 some levels in this giant castle, trying to get back his girlfriend or friend, whatever she is. Her name is Lala, and they made 3 games in the series. I know that our boy Jim out there likes this series as well. I've seen him stream it. Haven't given this a try, please do so. It's very easy to learn, but it becomes more and more difficult as the game progresses. RBI Baseball 2? Or 3? 3? I don't care. The Tengen copy of Pac-Man, same as the gray copy, just in the original Tengen shell. You'll notice that some of these games are a bit pricier than the later gray shelled games. Some do fluctuate in price though, so sometimes this one might be worth more, sometimes the gray cart might be worth more. It's pretty much just an 8-bit port of the arcade game, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that other than that, because we all know Miss Pac-Man is better. And finally, Donkey Kong Country 3. I have not owned this, and I was kind of on the fence about it because I'm not a big fan of 3. I know that most of us like 1, like 2, we've all talked about the soundtracks, but it felt good to actually get a very minty copy and complete the series on the Super Nintendo. I don't know if I'll be streaming this one anytime soon, because like I said, I'm not a big fan, but it does have some improved graphics and gameplay. I'm still a bigger fan of the original, but I'm sure that by now all of you have had a chance to play this, and if not, you can always get a copy, or, I hate to say it, emulate it. Alright, so that rounds up everything on this gaming tour. I want to thank you all for watching. If you guys have any questions on any of the pickups I make, please feel free to reach out to me in the comments, message me on Twitter, because if you guys think these finds are awesome, trust me, there is a plethora of things out there that I have come across that I have yet to even get myself. So if you're looking to complete your collections, you all know what to do. Feel free to reach out, and you know how it works. you might get a Zombox in the future. So, again, Zombie JLT1, your supernatural gamer, gaming beautician, and king of streams. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.